Greetings, and welcome back, everyone, to the Angry Chicken, the podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. I am Garrett Weinzorl, and with me, as always, is Willie Dills Gregory and Jocelyn Moffat. Guys, welcome back! Taco for the fall of 2015 has concluded!
It has. It was so good.
Yeah.
It was actually really good. Jocelyn, you did a fantastic job once again. Wrangling all the tacos, getting them all in a row.
Yes,
Tacos for all.
Last year, I made business cards for all of us, and this year, Jocelyn, I am adding professional cat herder to your business card because
Tournament organizer, aka professional cat herder.
No one can herd cats quite like you. I believe it's a Canadian racial passive.
Yes, it absolutely is.
It
was a lot of fun this weekend. We had a really, really great time. We had less people than last time, which I was a little bit surprised because we actually had a longer wait list. So, I don't know. I feel like end of September was just a real weird time for a lot of people. But taco winter is coming. So.
Oh, man, I am so making an image for that tomorrow.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
That's, we're totally doing something with that.
And that'll be post BlizzCon, right? So who knows what the announcement will be there, and who knows what the meta will look like then. Yeah. But we have to congratulate the winner. I'm Tom Lincoln. Played a combination of mid-range hunter, tempo mage, and secrets pally. So this is probably like what Jocelyn plays on the ladder on a daily basis. And second place went to Phantomus, who's also known as Nulltown, and I actually have checked his stream out a few times recently. He's streaming. He's a good streamer. I recommend people check him out, and he played really well to get to the finals. So congratulations to him as well. And the VODs are up, right? So we screwed up the live stream, but the VODs are up.
We did not screw up the live stream. XSplit screwed up the live stream.
Sure.
It was actually like a multifaceted like black hole of tech issues because our winner, Tom Lincoln, actually disconnected in the second to last game, and he ended up losing that game.
It was 2-1 in his favor at that time, and thankfully it wasn't like, that wasn't the deciding game because that would have really sucked.
Yeah, absolutely. So he did end up coming back and winning. Why am I telling you all this? Go to youtube.com/amovetv and watch it if you missed it. But again, big congrats to Tom Lincoln and Phantomus for getting into the finals, and good play all around. The VOD's really funny too because you can, if you're not noticing things go wrong, you can tell by how quiet I get, and my
Garrett. So it became a solo cast.
My eyes start darting around the monitor as XSplit starts to freeze up, and as Tom Lincoln drops out, and as chat room starts exploding 10 minutes after the fact because of the stream delay. It was all really good. It was great. It was the best. It was the best outcome I have ever had with this many technical problems because the VOD's fine. The
VOD is perfectly fine.
Went off without a hitch, except we had to do the outro looking at at my menu in Hearthstone. Other than that, it was fine.
We didn't get to bring back up our sexy faces in really close proximity at the end, which is unfortunate. But yeah, my favorite moment of it though, like I went back to just to like kind of double check the VOD and be like, yeah, it did actually get the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I clicked forward a bunch, and then I found the spot where Tom Lincoln actually did disconnect, and we were debating which one mana play he should make for a while the rope was going, and we had no idea he had disconnected at that point.
Yep.
And we were just like, oh, I guess you decided to do nothing. And it, literally neither of us were like picking up on the fact that he had disconnected until the next turn when he roped again. So yeah, it was really good and well played on both parts. So
I was actually listening to the cast in the car while I was driving to the airport, and I'm sitting there and you guys are like debating on what to do when there's a DC and stuff, and I'm literally like yelling at the phone going, there's a rule, look at the rule.
That's what I was doing.
I know.
Well, we did look up the rules once we figured out what had happened, but yeah. So, correctly, it was basically just given as a loss, which is unfortunate, but it's kind of how it's just going to hold things up. Like
when you're
Amaz,
recording,
we talked to him about what happened in the
Yes,
ATLC. When they have
because
that's a huge tournament with thousands of dollars on the line. Slightly different.
No, it's exactly the same as our community tournament for fun and BattleNet gift cards
on the line.
Yeah.
One of the kind.
But yeah, it was awesome, and Jocelyn, you did a great job. All the players did a great job, and I just kind of wanted to give a shout out to everybody who was involved, who helped out, and just talk about like how it all went. So, like, what was your sense of like how the whole thing went down?
It was great. I mean, it went off almost as well as the first one did.
Almost.
Almost, yeah. I think, well, the first time around I had everybody's email because we did the sign up a little bit differently. So I think I was able to like get through to everybody a lot easier. I sent out like messages to people on the actual website, and then I think people didn't get them till day of. And so there was a little bit of confusion there. But the chat room was awesome. We had people in the chat room all day, both days. A whole bunch of people were streaming. Ben Is Me actually compiled stats again for us. So there's actually a Google Doc full of like what classes everybody brought and like what the win rates were and if it was like more or less than the previous round. And so that was really cool. And so I wanted to also thank Takamikazuch and Kryptonite for helping me out mod the chat because that was awesome. You guys like were all over the questions all weekend, and I was like doing a whole bunch of stuff in like DMs and everything, and I'd look over the chat room, I'm like, oh man, they've got it. This is awesome. So yeah, you guys, you rocked. Thank you so much for showing up.
Yeah, so next time, this, we'll probably be doing this a little closer to the event, but next time expect us to do a call for some more help. We'll probably try and get a few more judges to help facilitate any questions regarding rules. I could have used one in the middle of that. I could have used one during that stream.
Sure. Actually, like that's a good point too. When we're doing like the finals, it'd be great if we could have somebody kind of in our ear helping us out with some of that kind of stuff too, so we can just concentrate on broadcasting the thing. But all in all, like we're figuring this out. This is the second time we've really done this, and Jocelyn put in a lot of work, and the people who helped out were great. I just jumped in at the end and said, hey, let's talk about Hearthstone, but, whatever. But, I mean, for the next time, get some more people to help out if anybody's interested. Just remember that you're interested, and we'll talk later. But
absolutely.
Next one will be in 3-ish months, looking at, right?
Yeah, probably in January, because some people were saying that we should do it at Christmas and we can have Christmas taco. And I was like, as fun as Christmas tacos sound, and really as fun as every kind of Angry Chicken tournament sounds, because it's called taco, so you really can't put anything bad with taco.
No wrong time for tacos.
There is no wrong time for tacos. So some people were saying at Christmas, and I'm just kind of like, well, I could probably run it at Christmas, but I know a lot of people that might not work for them, so I think probably January.
I think January sounds wonderful.
That sounds better.
As long as I don't have to cast on my birthday, that would be nice.
When's your birthday?
The 25th.
We're scheduling it exactly on your birthday.
I was going to say, whenever your birthday is.
It's the 25th.
That taco.
We're actually doing it not only on your birthday, but at the birth time.
Yes.
The very moment.
That's interesting, because I'm adopted, so I don't know what that time is.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to find out.
Could you inform me?
People to do some investigation. Yeah.
Could you? I would always want to know.
And we're going to figure this out.
Apparently.
I think January sounds like people want to hang out with their relatives and all that kind of stuff. And plus, if we did it around Christmas, everyone would play Secrets Pally, right? So that wouldn't be fun. So, because
it's a Christmas tree. I get it.
Aha! Yeah.
Oh,
Did you get it?
You terrible person. You're just a bad person. So the 25th falls on a Monday. So apparently you're going to do finals on a Monday. That's a terrible choice, but more on you there, Jocelyn. Good job. Good job.
Celebrate the birth of Christ. A little Hearthstone.
No, it's in January. That's never mind.
And tacos.
Anyways, also patrons tomorrow. Tuesday, September 29th. So if you're listening to this on podcast, the day it came out today is our patron hangout episode at 7:30 Eastern time, right here, twitch.tv/AMoveTV. Head on over to patreon.com/TAC to get all of the information. And when I say all of the information, I literally mean it's a Skype account. It's really simple. Add the Skype account and call us as many times as you want.
We're going to have some cocktails, get real loose, talk stuff. So.
Everyone likes a loose Dills.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I see. The fun thing is when we do these on Tuesdays, and then I just go straight to game night. It's awesome. Like I've already had like a martini by the time I get there, and it's a great time.
Alrighty, with all that in mind, all that out of the way, it is time for this week's Hearthstone news.
Good news, everyone!
Just to remind you folks, you can talk about what we're discussing right here, or submit stories you'd like to hear us talk about over on the Angry Chicken subreddit at tacpodcast.reddit.com. Our top story tonight is the Hearthstone World Championship Regional Championship. The groups are here. It was a pretty quiet weekend overall for the World Championships, but we now have our definitive regional competitor list for the American, Europe, and Asia Pacific regions. So there you go, guys. I don't want to read
all. Is there one more group? Or is this it?
This is all of them plus the already qualified Chinese players.
Okay.
So
that's what I thought. Yeah.
So there's
there's 4 people from 4 different groups that make up the final 16 that actually
So
go to
yeah, Love CX, No Tomorrow, Z House Celestial, and Zoro Celestial are the 4 already qualified Chinese players. So there are 8 players still to compete in the Americas Regional Championship, which is happening in where you are, Dills, at San Francisco, October 10th.
I actually just heard back from Lindsay and David today that I will be able to be there and talk to some. There won't be like devs or anything, but I'll be able to talk to like some of the players and the casters. So probably not going to do anything like official as far as interviews go, but I'll just be there at the event, so that way on the next tournament I can kind of, I give a report, or on the next episode I'll give a report to you guys and everybody about how the whole thing went down, some of the cool stuff that happened, how the players were doing, all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to take it in, and just have a good time. That would be awesome.
Yeah, so that's happening October 10th and 11th. The European Championship is in Prague on October 3rd and 4th, and the Asia Pacific Championship is in Taipei on October 2nd through the 4th. So we're going to have some overlap between the European and the Asia Pacific Championships. And the Americas is the final one, guys. There's a big gap.
Exciting. It's going to be so good.
There's a big gap between that and the finals at BlizzCon. Which
there's a long time in between,
There is a long time, and they were talking about how they were going to do some of the matches ahead of time. Are they going to stream those at all? Are we going to see them? Okay, good.
You're talking about when it actually comes time for the final BlizzCon matches?
Yeah,
we're gonna see everything when it gets to that final 16. That's gonna be like a double elimination type of deal at that point. So there's gonna be a lot of Hearthstone to play, and we will be able to watch all of it. I think it's actually all included in if you do the BlizzCon like home version, right, where you can watch all the stuff, like that'll all be there.
Oh, the virtual ticket?
Also on Twitch, so everyone will be able to see. Everyone will be able to see all of it. Yeah.
I'm glad that the only thing that chat room took away from this was my mispronunciation of Prague.
Prague? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in Prague.
So thanks.
Say something and I'm just like, no, let it go.
Just let it go.
Thanks.
Right.
Chat room never lets anything go.
No, they don't. They will fill up the whole chat screen with corrections. So.
But no, it's going to be really exciting, and yeah, you'll be up, leading up to BlizzCon. I'll be watching a lot of it, like on the way and the week before, as I'm getting super hyped. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to be to watch what esport at what time. That's going to be so complicated, you guys.
Yeah, I know.
I'm pretty excited that it's going to get a little bit quiet right before BlizzCon, because there's other things going on in personal life that are
no, I don't think so.
Slowly
Nothing
coming
important.
to a head.
I'm tempted to say, like, how distracted are you going to be at BlizzCon? You're going to be like, this is like my honeymoon, but also my BlizzCon.
No. You are going to see the most loose and carefree Garrett you have ever seen in your life.
Monkey off the shoulder, monkey off the back,
Like everyone's gonna see pictures of me in like a suit, looking nice and clean cut at the wedding, and somehow within friggin' 4 days between my wedding and BlizzCon,
many days.
I'm gonna grow like a hippie beard. I'm gonna look like frickin' Robin Williams when he comes out of the Jumanji board. I'm just
that would be awesome. You're like really like thin and like cut, and you look so good on your way, and then all of a sudden you show up and you're like fat with a beard. It's like, I've let myself go, man. I'm married now. What's up?
Nah, man, it's gonna be good. I might just miss the time because I'll just be hungover the whole time. It'll be great.
That is a good point, man. It will. It's like this is like the beginning of your honeymoon, kind of, right? Like, aren't you guys doing this, and then it's off to other things? So
yeah. BlizzCon is part 1, and then we're heading over to Hawaii.
That's it. That is epic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Really looking forward to BlizzCon this year, because it'll mean 2 things. A, I'm surrounded by all of my friends, and B, it means no more wedding planning.
Just chilling.
Yeah. It'd be a good time. So speaking of BlizzCon, while we're on that subject, the virtual goodie bag's been announced.
There aren't really any surprises here.
No, not really. Except
whoa, a murky pet?
Would we?
No way, Hearthstone card back.
I mean, I know it's not Hearthstone, but I'm really excited about getting a Murloc pet in Diablo.
It's an amazing Murloc pet for sure.
It's
I really
super
like it.
creepy looking.
Wait, in Diablo?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, you get because now there's pets in Diablo, right?
Like, I didn't know that. I haven't played Diablo.
We kind of had those, but not really. And now you've got all this like cool stuff you can attach to your guy. So like if I play Heroes of the Storm, I have a little banner that hangs off my back, which actually is really awkward on the Witch Doctor. It looks really uncomfortable because he already kind of crouches over and is just awkward already.
This is the reason he has
a cool little pet.
That banner on his back in Diablo is the reason he has scoliosis in the first place.
Good point. I want to ask you guys this though: does StarCraft need to step the game up or what? Because
StarCraft has needed to step the game up since it released. No one gets excited about portraits. What is wrong with you? We know we can get custom units in the game. One has come with every collector's edition so far.
Yeah, so how about if we get the ability to make some of our units have a special BlizzCon theme when we play the game, and then everybody knows. Oh,
what the crap, guys?
Yeah, I don't know.
What the H? And it's even funnier. Like I really get to get on the trolley forum fire jerkwad train with StarCraft because it's the same team that works on Heroes, and it's like Heroes gets an awesome freaking shiny Kodo mount holographic thing. You guys don't care about StarCraft anymore. We're too busy making things look awesome over there. But yeah, that's I don't believe anything I just said. I'm just really good at holding down the caps button.
I mean, so the Heroes thing is like now definitively always going to be a mount, right?
Yeah. I mean,
I guess skins would be cool, but a little part of me, and actually at Stormcast, I didn't even think of this, but then I started thinking about it more. They were like, "Are you disappointed you're not getting a card?" Because you guys remember Golden ETC?
Yeah.
Like, how cool was that?
Yeah,
it was great.
Getting a card back, awesome. But so my argument back was, well, no one plays ETC, so you got a thing you never used again. Whereas a card back, you might still be using your BlizzCon card back. So
not a bad
I used
way
my BlizzCon one for a really long time, and the new BlizzCon one looks pretty freaking sweet.
It does look great.
Cool.
I've seen some speculation. They're like, oh, it's Ice Crown Adventure coming out, and I'm just like, yeah, you're stretching there. It's not that Ice Crown looking.
That would make sense though.
It would, but it honestly doesn't look that Ice Crown to me.
It's blue.
Yeah, it's blue.
There's frosty stuff around the edges, but that might just be the animation.
I'm pretty sure it's the animation and the metal. Yeah. If you were gonna do Ice Crown, the metal should look like Serenite, and that doesn't look like Serenite. I'm sorry. I'm a nerd.
But it does look like ice that had been broken through, right? A little bit.
Sort of, kind of. Like I might make an argument that it looks like the Storm Peak, so maybe it's Ulduar.
Okay. But Ulduar to me was more
starry.
More like
no, you're right. More celestial.
Yellows. There was one wing that was icy, and the rest of it.
Yeah, this definitely looks icy.
Yeah.
Like Ulduar, I would want like some sort of representation of all four of the wings, maybe in each corner of that card back, something like that.
Well, this is what we're getting for BlizzCon. I mean, maybe this is like a teaser, and then we'll get an actual.
Yeah.
But
Ice Crown
Ulduar next adventure.
We've gone now adventure expansion, right? And now adventure seems likely, and Ice Crown Citadel would make sense coming right after the Grand Tournament, because the Argent Tournament was the precursor to actually going in and fighting Lich King. So
we already have an Ice Crown card back.
We do, but we don't have an Ice Crown Citadel card back.
Well, I guess that's true.
again, the Ice Crown one, like it doesn't look super like Arthas-y. Like,
we don't have like a Lich King.
Like it doesn't look like we haven't
a Frostmourne card back.
Like we have the Black Temple card back, but it doesn't look very much like Illidan. It doesn't have like tattered cloth and glowing tattoo runes. So,
I'm hopeful that it's Ice Crown Citadel. I really am. I want that.
Flavor wise, Ulduar and Ice Crown are the two things. Like this has to happen at some point.
I'm sure it will. It will.
I want to fight the Lich King, and I want to. There's a lot of bosses in there that I want to fight. So.
Yep.
Yes. What was the dragon right before?
Syndragosa.
Syndragosa.
Who is
exactly.
arguably.
I was about to say Sephiron, but I was like, no.
That's before Kel'Thuzad.
That's Max. Yeah, and we already did that.
Yep.
Syndragosa is a huge deal as well. So there's just a lot of cool stuff in that.
Yeah.
In that.
Jen Plays in the chat room also hit the nail. The Karazhan. We have to get Karazhan at some point. It's got to happen.
But I feel like those ones, and Ulduar too, we could like go back to those at any point. But if we're kind of on a timeline now, it kind of feels like.
I guess
we had
Nax,
you could just chuck in Karazhan, you could chuck in Ulduar. Like they don't feel like they were like super important to these big like blocks of storyline, right?
But the adventures didn't really go in any particular order. We had Nax Ramus
really
before
like
Blackrock Mountain. I mean, yeah, it does. And where does GVG fit into the mix?
Yeah, that was going to be my point. Is we had GVG and then we had the tournament, but it wasn't really the Argent tournament. Like it was, but it wasn't.
Definitely its own kind of thing.
And Eric Dodds during the TGT reveal even said that the idea kind of behind that was what happened to the tournament after Arthas had been defeated, and everyone could kind of just hang out and have a party.
That's a good point. This is supposed to be post. We've killed the Lich King.
Yeah. So no Ice Crown for you guys ever.
And
Confirmed.
And to put a big cap on all of this, it's Hearthstone, so I don't think they're adhering to any. I don't think they're trying to do a type of narrative with it, and I'm okay with that. I think it's just when it's. I feel like, and I don't know. We don't have Ben Brode here to ask, but I feel like they just kind of do stuff when it's right. Like when they pitch it, and they're like, "Oh, no, we could totally make 25 cards around this," and they just take it and run. But I mean, it's gonna happen at some point. There's no way you don't do an Ice Crown theme something, an Ulduar theme something.
And adventures don't have to introduce things like new mechanics and all that kind of stuff because you're talking about 30-something cards or whatever, right? So there's really cool fillers if we saw, in,
like some sort of Ice Crown Ulduar or something, but with just doing more neutral minions that do the freeze mechanic. So like it's not just freeze mage; you could have freeze other classes too. I think that would be pretty cool.
There's also there's a lot of cool mechanics just kind of everywhere in Ice Crown and also Ulduar. Like there's some of those boss fights have just very unique mechanics to their fights that you didn't ever really see again. There's a lot of cool stuff they could do. So that's one thing about the adventures that I really like is like the percentage of legendaries to the rest of the cards is really high, right? As compared to like these expansions. So you get like a lot of power in a few cards. Really
all I'm thinking of now is how to make the defile mechanic work in Hearthstone for the Lich King boss fight. Start under one minion and then get bigger and starts affecting multiple minions.
Went under a spot on the map or whatever, and then if you got a minion under it, it would spread to the minions next to it.
Yeah. Oh,
that would be pretty cool.
Freaking defile, man. So my lungs were just done yelling "Get out of the defile" to raid mates during that raid.
Yeah, I'm not to put anybody on blast, but to absolutely put people on blast. Mr. Scott Johnson was not the most talented defile player I've ever seen. Several times Defile covered the entire Lich King.
Oh yeah. Now, you and everyone's raid when they were learning that fight. There's only so much you can do, and everyone lets somebody die to a Valkyr dropping them off the cliff. It happens, okay?
No, yeah. I mean, I was tanking when we were doing that, so I was never in the defile. I was always standing right underneath the Lich King, trying to taunt zombies to me and stuff. But that was like one of the hardest things because it was also one of those things where the guy who messed it up, everyone knew who messed it up. There was no hiding that you screwed that one up.
Yeah, because your body was dead in the center
of the
ground zero of defile.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Good times.
Can we just stop the show and just go do a nostalgia run through Ice Crown?
I still need that mount, dude. So I'm up for it.
Really? Do I have a mount that you don't have? I find that hard to believe.
You have that mount? Really?
You're talking about
the mount you get from.
No, sorry, no. I'm just remembering that you're talking about the horse, not the dragon for the meta achievement.
No. Yeah, so I have the all the achievements or whatever mount.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is Syndragosa, right? Kind of.
Like more or less. Yeah. It's the same model.
But I don't have the one that comes out of the chest. So
Invincible.
Yes. Thank you, Jocelyn.
Thank you.
I can remember the song from the soundtrack, and I'm like, what's the title? Because it's also the name of the horse. Damn it. Couldn't remember it. That's how good that's how good Russell Brower is at making music. Is that I remember the song, not the title of it.
Dude, people farm the hell out of that for that mount. That mount is amazing.
It's a really dope ass mount, and which is also part of the reason I so badly want Karazhan in Hearthstone, if for no other reason than to get that fantastic music added to the game. Karazhan has some of the best music in WoW. Love it.
I would be interested to see if they added something like Karazhan, how they would do things like the chess event, and there's so many interesting moments within that raid, right? How would they build those fights? That would be really cool. And Like the design team would have a lot of like interesting decisions to make about
chess. I have no idea, but a lot of the other ones in there. I mean, it seems like.
Well, if the boss put down chess pieces or something, and then you had chess piece cards that like went.
I was gonna say, yeah. What
they
if
could
you
only
didn't
attack certain other minions, like
pieces,
so, like the
yeah.
knight would only be able to attack something like directly to its. I don't know. It'd be interesting.
It could be
Very
cool, yeah.
Oh man, what if the board looked like a chessboard? Bring it
Yeah,
on,
right?
bring it on!
I mean,
So
come on.
excited,
It's too cool.
so stoked. I love thinking about dope ass stuff that we have no idea if it's coming or not in Hearthstone.
That's our job. We say do it, and then Team 5 goes, yeah, you know how much work that is?
No, they flick the switch. They just flick the switch.
It's just a big switch on the wall,
Oh,
along
you
with
guys
the one.
want Kara now? Okay, switch.
Switch.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all made. It's just sitting here.
Yeah.
It's like DLC on a disc, right? Right, guys?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Someone just needs to unlock it.
Yeah, he just doesn't pay money. Also, this past week we had the I'm not even going to pronounce this correctly, so feel free, chat room. Get ready to Google how it's actually pronounced, and then tell me. The Abios Grand Tournament happened.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I think you did it.
Yeah. Yeah, this tournament concluded early this morning. For us in North America, it had a $5,000 prize pool being split between, spoiler alert, $500 for Firebat and Stancisca in the third and fourth places, $1,500 to RDU, who took second, and the grand prize of $2,500 going to Orange. This marks his third major tournament victory. So Orange taking names, including his own teammates. He had to beat Firebat to make it through this tournament.
I believe this was a full invited tournament, right? This was just
the whole thing.
all invites only. I mean, we're past BlizzCon season. No one gives a crap anymore about how the tournaments have to be open qualifier and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So this was just a bunch of big names.
And it's not like they were forced to have it be open before too. It's just if you wanted to give out WCS points, you had to have X amount of open invitations. But
it also, I think, in the BlizzCon qualifier thing, people thought of tournaments that had open qualifiers as a little more legit. At least on Twitch, people would kind of make that point. That if there was open qualifiers, it meant that the really good players who just got invited still had to beat these guys who got in through pretty massive qualifiers a lot of times. And sometimes you'd have a guy like Reynad qualify because he didn't get an invite, and he would still try to qualify. You get some of these guys who would still do that.
Yeah.
But this was just a straight up, here's an invitational with a decent prize pool, and I'm excited for Stan Sifka to have gotten a decent showing here, because he is a former Magic player, probably still playing Magic, I guess, but he is really head down concentrated on Hearthstone, and he had a big Reddit post about how frustrated he was about some of the things that happened leading up to BlizzCon, and the tone of that post had the feeling of a guy who was like, is this worth my time? Right?
Yeah.
Am I putting in too much time into something that's not going to give me the return? But here he is in another big tournament and doing well. So I think that's really cool. The other names, you've heard a lot about, but I like crossover names like Kibler, Stan Sifka, Life Coach coming from poker, all these guys.
I don't know what you're talking about, Dills. I've never heard of RDU or Orange or Firebat. What have they done for Hearthstone?
Well, but I'm saying those guys are established in Hearthstone.
Yeah.
And then Stan Sifka came over from Magic and was like, come into Hearthstone. Here I come. And put a bunch of work in.
I like the crossover as well. And now, the question I feel like we probably all three of us get a lot is, what streams do you guys like to watch? And I don't honestly like watching just kind of personal streams. I use Twitch to watch tournaments for the most part. I'm not huge on personal streams, but I love Kibler's stream. And I don't know, not all Magic players are like this, but he really has this analytical. It's like almost watching a teacher. I like how he talks to his audience. Kibler is one of my favorite streams, hands down.
He does make mistakes that are very clear that it's because he has the Magic background and he still hasn't quite transitioned the brain to Hearthstone. He's very, very I think his major skill, and obviously he did super well at ATLC, his major skill to me I think is still deck building. But he knows how the decks that he does build work. Sometimes on laddering you see him make mistakes and you're like, oh, it's just because he's still kind of used to the Magic way of things, right? When you're actually planning out turns and stuff like that. Which a lot of people say Hearthstone is totally a dumbed down version of a card game. I've heard this so many times, and it's not at all when you watch a guy who's really good at card games still make mistakes, right? In a game like this. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think the way he analytically approaches the game is really cool to watch. And I've watched Stan Sifka's stream as well, and he does a very similar thing. He's not in the Magic Hall of Fame like Kibler, but he's a very accomplished player, and I recommend everybody look out for this guy. He's going to do a lot of big things, I think.
We love chat room who are publicly accosting me for not saying I like your stream, Dills.
Look, Garrett doesn't have to hang out on my stream, all right? My stream is a separate thing. I did see Kibler, by the way, at TwitchCon.
Did you?
On the escalator, as I was going up, he was going down. And
were you that guy who just goes,
did you
Kibler!
go crazy, fanboy?
Yeah, we just were like, Kibler, and he looked up from his phone, was like, hey, and then just kept on. That was pretty much it. But, yeah, it was a cool moment. TwitchCon was kind of fun. I didn't expect to go. But I got given a free ticket, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm going.
I'm jealous, man. It looked like everyone was having a great time.
It was cool. It was an interesting thing because it wasn't a con about games or game designers or game. It was about the people who play games.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was just kind of weird. It was just weird. It was the first one ever. And I'm not saying like, anything bad or negative. I'm just saying like it was just a totally different experience from any con I'd been to before. Because the players were the celebrities. It wasn't the game makers. I actually saw Mike Morheim standing by himself, no one talking to him. And I was like, yo, Mike Morheim, what's up? And he was just standing there. No one was saying a word to him. And I walked up to talk to him. And I was just like, introduced myself. And, he knew who I was because of the instance and stuff. But, and then you like go over and there's some streamer I've never heard of with like a ton of people all around them, like freaking out. Like some League of Legends streamer or something like that. It was weird, but it was cool. It was very cool.
Not to discredit your story and make it seem not special in any way, shape, or form, but I've had that exact same experience with Mike Morheim at his own convention.
At BlizzCon?
Yes.
At BlizzCon?
Yes, I ran into him a couple years ago at BlizzCon, just like after the StarCraft finals let out, just kind of bumped into him like, oh, hey, got to talk to him for a little bit, thanked him for making the games, and no one else is bugging him, and I think it's just his demeanor.
Maybe.
You would think the CEO of a major gaming company would, I don't know, but he carries himself just like another gamer. Like he just seems like another attendee of BlizzCon. And the funniest part was, and I think maybe you were there for this, Dills, the year Blink-182 played, and we were waiting, and they stopped letting people into the pit. The security stopped Mike Morheim, was like giving him a hard time, and we're all watching like, are they really doing this right now? And then
wow.
And then
they're like, oh, you run the company.
Yeah.
All right, go on in.
Yeah. It was hilarious.
He's like the biggest guy there, and but he's one of the smartest guys and super humble about. I mean, he was so happy to just like have a chat with me. It was the coolest thing ever. But yeah, TwitchCon was awesome. Glad I went. First one ever. I'll probably try to go again, but it was weird. I wasn't gonna go. It's like in my city. And people were like, dude, what? I have a ticket for you. Come on, just come down here.
I go to so many cons that like I'm barely interested in just because they're in Florida.
Yeah.
Like I go to anime conventions. I'm not even that into anime, just because hey, it's something fun to do on the weekend. I can't believe you almost didn't go to TwitchCon.
It was a huge deal, and I didn't know what to expect really, but I'm glad I went. I met a lot of like other. What I really had a good time doing was meeting other streamers who were not the huge streamers, but who are very excited and trying to make something happen with their stream, and they're really motivated to do something, and talking to them and bouncing ideas off each other and saying let's connect again later and see what we can do, because some of the streamers are just like so huge at this point that they don't really care. They're just like, yeah, whatever. Like, this is what I do now. It's fine. I stream when I want. I make way too much money for what I'm doing. But then there's like a lot of people who are really trying their hardest to get into this because they're so passionate about it. And those people, it was awesome to talk to. So that was exciting for me. I did have a really good time. Shout out to Mike from Game Night and Showdown Esports for hooking me up. Those guys are amazing.
For a second there, I thought you were shouting out to Mike Morheim. I'm like, oh, damn.
Shout out to Mike Morheim.
On first name only basis with Mr. Morheim. Oh, that's great. So moving on with the news, HearthArena finally putting out its companion app that sets an overlay on your games so that you don't have to type in each card that you possibly could pick during your arena draft. Now, just to reiterate, this is not out yet, but it's coming out soon, and they previewed it on there's a YouTube video we have linked in the show notes that you can go and check out. I am so excited for this to release. I can't contain it.
This is the thing keeping people from using this site right now.
I've gotten so dependent now on Hearthstone Deck Tracker, in Heroes of the Storm, on the Hotslogs uploader, because I love having 100% accurate stats that I don't have to bend over backwards to keep record of.
No, absolutely. It's the tediousness of doing the stuff yourself, which is kind of it's what like held back like things like Hearth stats a little bit too, where you'd have to go in and record exactly what happened after each game. And what they're doing now is HearthArena was a great tool, and Merps and Adwakta, who made the algorithm, and then there's a programmer who is anonymous. They put in so much effort into like the tier list and the algorithm that it uses, and the tool is fantastic. And I'll say this, like as someone who plays a lot of Arena, I generally agree like with 28 of the 30 picks most of the time, and then disagree a couple times. But it's not a perfect, it's a computer, right? So it's not 100% perfect. It doesn't have the advantage that a human has of actually analytical thought. It's basically just, here's the numbers, we crunched them, we did this. But it's such a good tool for getting you like over the hump if you're someone who wants to be good at Arena and just doesn't quite know the drafting, like the best drafting style or the best picks in every situation. It's such a great tool for that this is going to, I think, change the meta of Arena. And their presentation of it, it looks really slick. It gives you a deck tracker that like automatically pops up that works similar to Hearthstone Deck Tracker, so you see what you have left in your deck and what you've already drawn and stuff like that. And it automatically keeps your stats for you. It's just, all of it is very streamlined and really, really well done. So I'm excited for this. October 1st is, I believe, the release date. So
yeah. There's folks in the chat room making jokes like, "Oh, typing so hard," but it's like, and I get that. I sympathize with that. But for me, it's like if you can make it as easy as just sitting down to play a casual game of Hearthstone to keep accurate stats, that's great. That's a wonderful tool. And I'm all for it. And that's something I'm now really accustomed to. And it makes me not want to play Hearthstone on my iPad or iPhone because I don't have a way to automatically track games that I play.
Yeah. I have a question for you guys. Do you guys think you're going to play maybe more Arena when you get a tool like this? Is this going to affect Arena play for you? Okay.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed.
Because I am terrible at Arena. I
doubt
the
that,
worst.
though. Like, I doubt you're terrible.
The worst.
I just think you haven't put in the same amount of time that you put into Constructed, right?
I had 3 choices, as you normally do. 4 classes in Arena. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to pick Warrior. I need to play more Warrior. See the face? I'm terrible at Arena. I'm just like, what could possibly go wrong? Turns out Warrior could go wrong. Warrior
goes very wrong. I actually had
I read a tier list today, and it was like, Warrior is the lowest of all of the classes in Arena. And I was like, damn it.
I had a 7-win Warrior deck the other day, and like on stream, and everyone was like, I can't believe that just happened. Because Warrior is that bad right now. It is terrible.
It's awful.
Yeah.
I was just about to ask, were you not here for episode 102 where we talked about all the stuff that Ben Bro talked about and Crip was here, and then I remembered, oh wait, yeah, you weren't here for episode 102 where we spent probably
it's a whole movement. Warrior is in a really bad place in Arena, and that sucks. But I don't know, actually. Did I watched the whole video? I don't remember if it shows you like which class you should pick. I didn't see that. That would be interesting.
Well, I mean, it's really easy though to find that kind of information online. Like class picks are easy. I just didn't bother looking it up. I was just messing around, had a bunch of gold, and I had just been buying packs. And I was like, you know what? I get a pack for Arena. I'm gonna try Arena. I think I'm 3-0 or 3-1, like just or sorry, 1-3 or 0-3 or something. Anyways, I had 3 losses and like 1 win maybe. I was just like, this is stupid.
Well, that's just Warrior. That's not you. So right now, Mage, Rogue, Pally are like the top, and then everyone else is kind of tied around the middle. Well, Priest is like right above Warrior, and then Warrior is kind of at the bottom. But this is, I think, going to be a really interesting thing to see how, because right now, Arena is like people are fairly good at Arena. There's a lot of people, like when you get to 7 wins, you're playing other people who don't make mistakes, who have pretty good decks. But I'm curious to see now what happens. Like, is Arena just going to be really tough at like 0, 1, 2, 3 wins because everyone's going to be using this HearthArena deck tracker thing? I actually talked to Edwakta about this, and he was like, yeah, I might have just created a monster. And, you know, we were trying to do something really cool, and now it makes me worse at Arena, but yeah, whatever. It's a good tool.
Yeah, it's going to be the same sort of thing that it is with everything. Like, there's going to be the certain hardcore people, same with, like, why you can't put that much weight on Hearth stats, or, you know, the same reason why Reddit can be kind of skewed is because the people who are out there and talking about it and using all these tools, like, that's the really hardcore Hearthstone crowd. Yeah. Not everyone who plays Hearthstone, not everyone who plays Constructed or Arena or any mode is super hardcore all the time. So there are going to be a lot of people that are going to use this. And you're probably going to see it used, I would say, more and more often by people who play, you know, who can get 7, 8, 9 wins, up to, you know, however many wins you get at the top of the arena, because I don't even know that.
12.
I know, 12. I know it's 12. I've never been there, so. But,
you'll get there. I bet you'll get there once you have help picking the deck.
Yeah.
Because you know how to play. It's just, but the tier picks and what's better than what, that's really, like, I think, the trickiest part of Arena.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you'll see that kind of upper echelon of Arena players using it, and I think you're still going to see the same sort of play down where I live in the 1 to 3 wins kind of area.
It's really
a good point. Yeah. That's a good point. I was talking to somebody and they were like, "Yeah, I play Hearthstone like I used to play Candy Crush, and now I play this game Hearthstone." And I was like, "Oh, okay." There are people who play like that.
Yeah,
like I log in every now and then, and I'm just like oh, basic deck. Okay, let's play this. And then they like play against the Innkeeper, and they never even hit ladder, and that's 20 million people playing. There's a ton of people playing like that.
It's easy to forget that.
No, and we don't realize that because obviously we're really into this game. We made a podcast about it.
So of course we're going to use all the tools. We're going to use the deck trackers and the arena pickers and all the things, but yeah, not everybody plays like us.
No, not not at all.
But I'm going to be using it a lot on stream. It actually has like now it overlays like right onto your stream and everything too, which is going to be great. So people who stream and stream Arena, this is going to be really cool for them too, because they can. It's going to give you like a discussion starter. It's going to show you the 3 scores, and then you're going to be like, well, I disagree. I would rather pick this, or yeah, they're totally right, and I agree, or whatever. And it's going to give you like a little more as you draft, because right now sometimes I'm just like, if I draft and I call it like naked drafting, or I HearthArena draft. So if I'm drafting naked, I'm just kind of like click, 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 and then if I'm using HearthArena, it spurs discussion.
I want to know how many people click into your stream seeing Naked Draft and are sorely disappointed when you're.
I don't put that as the title of my stream.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, dude, that's a show. Like that's like your solo show.
I would probably have more viewers if I did. Put that as my
Naked Arena with Willie Dills Gregory.
Come for the naked, stay for the draft.
You should get those like shirts that has like nudity just printed on the front, but it's not you. You can get
it's a shirt with nipples right here.
Yeah, exactly.
That's okay.
And you can get like the hairy variant and the bad tan lines variant, and you can switch them out every day. It'll be great.
Just grossed me out.
It'll be so good, man. It'll be so good. Then you can get like the Total Recall variant with 3 nipples. It'll be a good time. Before we move into this week's strategy segment, I want to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/TAC. If you become a patron, you get access to the TAC Skype account for our call-in episodes, as well as the after show videos. So go check it out if you enjoy the show and want to support us. This week, we wanted to thank Daniel, the Jingoist, which has me concerned, Stephen R., Jim B., and DXW. Thank you guys very much for supporting the show.
We're at 556 patrons.
I know.
No way.
We are so far past your really excited YOLO swag number.
My YOLO, we got the 420. I was like, oh my god, this can't be real.
Yeah, and which by the way, everyone supporting us, don't take that as a sign that a bunch of people should de-support us and get us back down to YOLO swag.
I'm just really, it blows me away that so many people like what we do so much that they went to a site, did some things, put some stuff in, and said, "I want to support this." That just it blows me away every time I think about it. So thank you guys so much.
It's so nice. It's so great. Especially, the day comes, you read that bad YouTube comment, and you're just like, man, I don't know why we do this show. We're not doing that good. And you're like, wait a minute. There's like almost 600 people over here telling us we're totally dope. So thank you guys.
Yeah. You guys are the best.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to giving back a bunch more content, actually. So, like, this is making a lot of things possible.
Yeah.
In fact, Thursday.
So there's 3.
Bring it up
there's
now, right?
3 Angry Chickens this week. 3.
Yeah.
Today,
Yeah.
TAC Prime. Tomorrow, the Patron Call-In episode. And Thursday, our first ever Brawl episode.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
boy,
so
I hope
we're gonna get a ton of Angry Chicken this week, and that's because you guys are out there being like incredibly over the top supportive of us.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you guys so very, very much. Now, crossing my fingers and hoping to sweet Hearthstone God that we don't get a repeat Brawl on Wednesday.
That'll be the worst. No, please don't do that.
Well, we haven't talked about every single Brawl yet.
Okay.
No,
Even
that's a
like
good
I
point.
mean,
we haven't
yeah,
talked about any of them really.
not
because,
in really in depth. I think we might have talked about the first 1 or 2. We have an email writing in about this week's Brawl, but we didn't even talk about it off the top of the show. So like I think there's some room, even if it is a repeat, to do some good content. So and plus every time we get a repeat.
Yang Wu hinted that this Brawl might be special.
Oh, totally gonna be pumpkin spice Brawl, guys.
30 Angry Chicken deck Brawl hype.
Oh, please. That would make me so very happy. Oh, geez. So, anyways, it's time for this week's strategy segment.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
Today we're going to be talking about Shaman. Specifically, Totem Shaman, and if you're watching the video, very, very specifically, a budget Totem Shaman deck list.
Yeah, so we... Sorry. We went with the this like kind of budget version of it, but really that's just to kind of give you a baseline of what Totem Shaman was expected to kind of look like and kind of talk about... Because, people who listen to the show remember that when we saw all the cards from TGT, the big kind of takeaway that a lot of people said was, oh my god, Shaman is back. Like, Shaman is going to be so strong. And that just has not happened.
No.
Yeah.
No, it has not.
So
It's upsetting.
we kind of want to get into why maybe that hasn't happened, because I think Totem Shaman was the deck everyone thought, yeah, here we go. We'll finally get a viable Shaman deck that takes advantage of its totems, similar to what the Paladin has been able to do with its hero power. Shaman would be able to do with its hero. Totems were going to be suddenly something you had to clear every turn and all that kind of stuff. It hasn't really happened, and Garrett, I know you played a lot of Shaman. Did you like have a period where you tried this and it just didn't work out?
It was the first TGT deck I built.
Okay.
And I want to say Thunderbluff Valiant was the first TGT card I crafted because I only got 1 in my pack openings. And obviously, got to have 2 of these. They're just too damn good.
Sure.
That Inspire trigger's ridiculous. But yeah, no, I had the same experience everyone else did, kind of just very slowly realizing that it's not the most consistent deck in the world. And I want to preface a lot of this by saying, like, it's still a fine deck. Like, you're still gonna probably, if you're playing it correctly, get above a 50% win rate, which is fine. It's just that it's not great. It's not, you're not gonna rush to legend with this deck, but
I found that when I lost, when I lost with this deck, like, it felt really bad. It felt like there was nothing I could have done differently. Like, it's not that I had a bad draw. It's not that, I made a misplay here or there, or cleared something I shouldn't have, or didn't save my spells. Like, it really just felt like I played everything correctly and I still lost. Sure. It was like I had, I found a few times that I kind of got to the point that you do with Mech Mage, where, you fill the board with totems, you feel like you're in a really good spot, but that happens so much later in the game for Shaman that by the time you kind of commit to your board and you've got something really good going on, you're into turn like 5, 6, 7, 8, and they have stupid amounts of removal and big threat minions, and you're just like, if this happened for me, even a turn or two earlier, I feel like it could have been so much stronger. But because it just happened so much later in the game, it's just like, oh man, like I just can't get it going the way that you would like something that's a little bit more aggressive. So I don't know. It always felt so bad when I lost with it.
I think the tricky thing with this deck is that it doesn't have some of the tools that some of the other decks have now. After TGT came out, and you look at stuff like Dragon Priest or where Paladin moved to, which obviously like Paladin get a bunch of new early game, but they got some like really sick finishers to add to their early game that they already kind of had, which made them so much more explosive in like the mid game, and were able to close games out. Whereas, like, this Shaman still feels like, okay, yeah, I get a 3-4 out on turn 2, but then my turn 3 sucks. And that's not as amazing as I thought it was going to be, right? So, you look at some of the other classes that have really taken off, and their turn 3 is so powerful that they're able to kind of keep, they can keep up with the 3-4 on turn 2, because on turn 3 they place, so much more power, and oftentimes you end up just toteming on turn 3, and that really sucks and feels bad. So this particular version of it, I think, has done a really good job of mixing in so much early game that the value you can get later on in the game with your totems actually works out pretty well. So I played before the show tonight, and I actually went 5-2 with this particular version of the deck at rank 5. So not at like rank 20 or whatever. Like at rank 5, people are playing good decks, and people are not going to make a lot of mistakes, right?
Yeah.
So I think this deck is viable. I just think that, again, it feels like there's got to be a better option, right? As you're playing it, you're like, it's hard to win. Like, yes, I can win, but I'm kind of like barely winning. I'm not crushing people like you do with some of these other decks. So, the totem package takes up a huge chunk of the deck, which means you have to kind of cut some other stuff. Things like Alakir, things like Neptulon, some of the like finishers that Shaman used to run in like the mid-range variant, you can't fit them in because you got to fit in all this other stuff. You got to fit in all these totems. And then Overload, we've talked about this on the show a little bit, but Overload makes you spend more than you should for the same amount of power in most cases. But it's like, oh, well, we spread it out over 2 turns. But that still means, like, over the long haul, you're spending 5 mana for something another class is spending 4 mana for. And yes, you do, you get a powerful turn. You front load your turns, right? But the games aren't like Hearthstone's not decided on turn 3. Like Hearthstone's decided on like turn 5, 6, and 7, stuff like that. So just because you've front loaded your turn doesn't really like make up for the fact that your next turn is terrible. And it's really hard not to be overloaded on things like turn 6 when it's like fire elemental time. So that's where Shaman, I think, really comes up short and is just kind of weak. This overload mechanic, while you look at it and it seems to make sense, I pay a little bit more to do the same thing. You're paying 5 mana for a Consecrate that doesn't hit face, right? That might do 3. Like, there's a lot of like weird stuff in there, and there's so much RNG. So it's a deck that just is inconsistent. I think that's really where it comes up short. So, did you guys have a chance to play this particular version?
I started playing, I think I played 1 or 2 matches with this, and then I went in and I actually added Dr. Boom and Alakir. But yeah, I found that like I was really, really missing a lot of removal. Like I really missed having a BGH. I really missed
yes.
Oh, I did put a Doomhammer in as well. I'm trying to remember what I took out. I think I took out a Hex, and I took out a zombie
Hex
chow.
is so important though. It's like,
yeah,
really,
I know, and that's really like, you're right. Like it really felt like everything I took out, I was kind of like, oh man, but that's actually pretty important.
Yeah, Hex is one of those.
It's like you need a 35 card deck with Shaman or something like to actually get all the stuff you want.
You have to make up for the fact that you're completely right. Like there's so much RNG. There's RNG with like what you pull out of your totemics. There's RNG with how much your removal spells hit for. Like it just, Hex really is one of the things that is just like, no, I know exactly what's going to happen every time. That frog is going to happen.
yeah, that's right. Like there's a debate to be had for almost every Shaman card, but Hex is not one of them. Like Hex is arguably one of the best pieces of removal in the game. There's a lot of cards that are similar to it, polymorph, and you could even argue that Assassinate's kind of the same, although Assassinate just straight up removes it from play. But Hex is so great for what you're paying for. You're paying 3 mana. I mean, yeah.
But actually, Hex is, I think, superior to Assassinate in like every way, because think about, like, you assassinate a Sylvanas, you didn't remove its death rattle effect. Whereas Hex, it's like, all that stuff that it did, all that cool stuff that it did, it doesn't do that anymore. Like, I turned it into a useless piece of crap, and I took away all of its, death rattle effects. Like, that is so powerful. So I think, Shaman has one of the best cards in the game. You can't take advantage of it because everything else is like not quite there.
It's rough, and especially with Totem Shaman, since I feel like, I don't know. I even talked a little bit about this to Karma, because after the last time we had her on, I was talking to her the next day, and we were talking Shaman, trying to figure out how to work. And it's like, I feel like Totem Shaman, since it came out, we've all been running Zombie Shaman, and I'm just like, I really want to get rid of those because they seem like a horrible crutch that can really come back to bite you later in the game. But I don't. What do you put there? I don't know.
They're too important. Yeah. You have no option on turn 1 that is as powerful as what Zombie Chow does, and if you fall behind, you don't have a really great way. Like, Lightning Storm is a catch-up mechanic, but like I had a couple situations today where it's like, okay, if I roll 4 on that guy, that's gonna be amazing, and then nope, 3. Okay,
nope, there's the 3.
Yeah, and that just that's when I rolled Spell Power, my 1 and 4 for the totem. Also, like I'm relying on so much to get the value I need out of these cards. So I think maybe a really skilled player can pilot this deck because of the RNG, aspect of it. Knowing when to attempt an RNG situation and knowing when it's going to work out more beneficially for you is really important to this deck. And I'm not going to put myself in the upper echelon of players who's going to know all that. And so I think a lot of people they can't really play this deck because too many times they're just like kind of like blindly relying on the RNG and hoping. And when it doesn't go your way, you don't have a fallback, right? So that's, I think, another key to this.
Taking something, and again, like, this is one of the problems, there's not much that you can really sub in and out, but the Justicard that gives you the ability to choose your totem, do you think that would be a good addition to this deck? Because I don't have her. So.
I don't think so, because I think Justicar is much better in very specific kind of Outlast fatigue type decks right now. And yes, you get to choose your totem.
But after turn 6, is it that important?
Yeah, on turn 6, you're playing a weaker turn 6 than you'd rather. Like, you'd rather just play a fire elemental, right?
Yes, yeah.
So, so I think a lot of people also wrongly looked at Justicar and thought, oh, this will be great for Shaman. And it hasn't been in a single Shaman deck since. So, I've seen Justicar in Paladin, Warrior, and Priest as well, but that's pretty much it. Although I did see Justicar in... today I was watching Dog has a Major Domo Koldara Drake deck that runs Justicar because Justicar with Koldara Drake means that you have a pretty sick hero power. So, but that's a very specific deck. But I don't know like what it really is the fix. So I put in some cards I think will fit into this particular. So this is the budget version that we're linking right here. It's got a lot of 2-ofs. It's going to be as consistent as you can really get with Shaman. But there is still so much RNG, like Tuskar Totemic. Who knows what you're going to get? Placement is so important with this deck, like where you put your Death Rattle minions, all that kind of stuff, because you need to have it set up for the the Daisy Chain with the Flame Tongues and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And also Defender of Argus is in this deck as well.
And Defender of Argus, so you need to always be thinking ahead. 2 or 3 turns on placement as well as like what I play.
Yeah, you have 4 cards that are dependent on placement, and you have the potential to get even more with your Tuskar Totemic. You can spawn another Flame Tongue Totem.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot to think about with this deck. That makes it very hard to play. So just be aware. I encourage people to try this deck out because I do think it's actually okay and it's fine. But there's some cards that can be added, and Jocelyn mentioned some of them. Dr. Boom, Alakir, Neptulon. I actually really like Kodo Rider in a deck like this too. And Kodo Rider doesn't seem very strong, but it is an engine that must be dealt with that can actually close out a game.
That's the one that's constantly spawning 3/5s when you use your hero power, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so
which you're using your hero power anyway because you want all your totems.
Yeah, because of the fact that your hero power is a big part of the deck anyway, on turn 8 you can play the Coda Rider plus the hero power, spawn the extra, 2/3/5s and a totem for 8 mana, and then if they can't kill it, you get like kind of this infinite value thing going on. So it's actually a pretty good. Coda Rider was a little bit undervalued. I think a lot of people didn't really think it was going to be very good, but underestimated it before it actually came out. It's a great card in Arena, actually. And then Ragnaros is a card that could potentially fit. And then if you're talking outside of like these kind of big finishers, Shaman kind of wants Healbot and Sludge Belcher and, like you said, Doomhammer and BGH, and it's hard to fit those in with the package you have to fit in with your totem stuff. So it's
what
just,
about Healing Wave instead of Healbot?
The problem with Healing Wave in this deck is that you have a ton of 1 and 2 and 3 drops, and you're not going to win the joust enough times.
Yeah. And I guess
much
too,
rather
like,
guarantee 8 and play 3/3 at the same time. So,
and with Overload, a lot of your stuff just straight up mana cost is cheaper anyway. So even if you have a little bit more powerful things, they have a much lower cost than they would normally. So
exactly. Yeah,
you're kind of screwed in 2 ways.
Joust is rough for shamans.
Yeah, like if you can play, and I talked about, I theorized that there would be an amazing control shaman deck with all the early removal and then a bunch of cool late game minions, and that really hasn't cropped up. Even though I still kind of believe it's out there somewhere. Maybe it's a couple of expansions away, but that would, I think, would be great with the Healing Wave. But I think this particular version of it just doesn't have enough late game. You have to run all the early game to keep up with the paladins and the hunters and all that stuff, that you can't get away with stuff like Healing Wave. So this particular version has no healing and just hopes that... I will say this, though. I love the fact that 1 Bloodlust is in this deck, and it actually closed out a bunch of games for me. Bloodlust is a very powerful card in this deck. So,
there's only 1, right, in this deck?
Yeah, only 1.
Only one. Yeah.
2 would be ridiculous. But, things like Loatheb and Bloodlust, I think, really fit in this deck. And I encourage people to try it out if they really want a shaman deck that works. Like I said, I went 5 and 2 with it. So it will work. You just got to really think through your plays. Think about things like positioning. Think about the overload. Plan several turns in advance. It's not going to be a deck that you could just slam your 1 drop into your 2 drop into your 3 drop and not think about it. But if if you like a deck that has a little bit of analytics behind it and a kind of a cool win condition of swarming the board and bloodlusting, here you go. I think it's viable. As much as we're talking crap on it, it is viable.
Yeah.
And Garrett, you said the same thing.
Oh, absolutely. No, it totally. The thing is, like, the balance overall in Hearthstone right now is it's pretty good. Most of the classes, in constructed, it's not terrible. It's like even the classes that are on the bottom are still viable. It's not like they're sitting at a 30% win ratio or something, which is what everyone makes it sound like, especially with Rogue right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, it used to be with Priest. Priest sat at like a 40% win rate for a really long time, and I feel like even though, like you mentioned, Garrett, Rogue. Even then, Rogue and Constructed isn't that far down there. They're still, and I'm not, oil is powerful.
Yeah,
so
I'm not saying they're king of the castle. That's definitely not the case. I mean, I think oil's really the only real strong Rogue archetype at the moment.
I did lose to an aggro Rogue today with this.
Oh, did you?
So, yeah. That's out there. I beat a Mill Rogue, but I think that's just the guy messing around. But aggro Rogue, I think, is still potentially viable. I really wanted my Dragon Rogue to work, but yeah, Rogue is in an awkward place because oil's really the only way to play it. Priest, I've seen a lot of people still be able to play the Control-y Priest and do well with, even though the Dragon Priest is the more popular variant.
Yeah, it's everywhere. But
yeah, right now, like, it's Mech Shaman or Totem Shaman, and both of them are slightly below the top tier, and that's why you're just not seeing it, But again, you are seeing some of it, and that's fine. The game doesn't have to have 9 top tier decks that are all on equal footing. No game's ever going to be that way. So I do believe, like, if you like Shaman and you were like, damn it, I need to find a Shaman list that works, try this one out. I think you'll be happy with results if you really concentrate on your gameplay.
I agree. And there's still just I have such a soft place for Shaman. I just I'm waiting for them to be cock of the walk. that day can come now, please. Maybe some more overload synergy. I'd like that. Why is it
they need less RNG, really, though.
Less RNG, and if you're gonna give us Overlord, give us more cards like Unbound Elemental. Why is that the only card that benefits from using Overload?
I guess you could say Lava Shock does because it removes it, but yeah.
That's not so. That feels more like a Band-Aid to what I think is one of the largest problems with Shaman, which is Overload in the first place.
Sure. They have one of the most broken cards in the entire game, though, which is Fire Elemental. The problem is it's really broken. It's amazing, but it comes out a little too late to swing games back in your favor in a lot of cases. So
yeah, it always.
If they had a broken card on 4, like some decks have. Just, I mean,
that's
Void Caller, is just broken, man.
At the moment, a lot of the top decks just curve out so nicely, or at least have the potential to. Yeah, you can draw real awkward. That's always a thing. It's a card game. Okay, with that in mind, most decks that are really good right now can curve out perfectly and really has crazy strength in their curve. And so it feels like when you get to 6 and you finally play your Elemental, you're still not caught up, even after playing this incredibly valued card. You remove something, you play a 6/5, and you're still going, and you're still sweating your next turn. You're like, oh crap, I'm going in the next turn. What am I need to roll a Spell Power Totem and hope
and then
that
they
my
bluff
Lightning
a couple
Storm
1/1s and kill it, and then you're like, ah.
Yep. That's exactly what's happening. Yeah. It's just I'm always sweating playing Shaman, and if I'm gonna sweat while playing a deck, I'd rather play Handlock.
You know what though? That card is still insane in Arena because Arena does get to turn 6 without the game being totally lost.
Arena Shaman is I love where Shaman's at in Arena right now. This is all the more you're gonna get me on a tangent. I want Arena to be playable in a tournament because I want Arena to be a format that we all care about, not just Arena fanatics. If there were
not
Arena,
just people who love Arena just because they love Arena.
Yeah, if there were Arena tournaments, it would be getting a lot more attention, and also I feel like it would alleviate this kind of perception that everything needs to be as balanced as possible, as absolutely perfect as it can be. All 9 classes need to be on even footing with another, because it'd be really cool. Because Rogue's not doing so great in Constructor right now, but it is doing pretty damn well in Arena.
It's the top Arena deck right now, I think.
Yeah. So if we lived in a world where competitive Hearthstone had 2 formats, that would be a really cool point that we could look at and talk about. But unfortunately,
it would also alleviate the whole weird thing of like there's constructed players and arena players, and never the twain shall meet. Like it's just weird. Like that there's like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Then it would just be like if you're just a competitive Hearthstone fan, you could go and talk to both players. You could talk to people who want to grind a legend, and you can talk to people who want to get the 12 arena plays. But it's just weird now. Now it seems like arena is that weird kind of like hobbyist niche within Hearthstone, which I think is weird. And then Constructed's like the Hearthstone mainstream, and it's just like, why can't we just have both be a competitive thing?
Think about the World Championships and like Magic and stuff, right? Where you play all the formats.
Yeah.
And it's the guy who wins is the guy who played well in all the formats, not just one.
Yeah.
So like imagine if Firebat
really cool.
had to like devote some time to Arena and try to get good at that because he wanted to be the world champion again.
Well, I
can't just play one kind of Hearthstone.
That's not. I mean, that's
so cool.
That's not what I'm asking for. I mean, I think you should.
No, I know, but I mean, just imagine that world. That would be kind of sweet.
Yeah. That would be
you
interesting.
get to watch a lot of different stuff in like the most major tournament. I think that would be awesome.
What if they threw Brawl in there too?
And Tavern Brawl. Yeah, you got to be the best
Brawl,
Tavern
Arena,
Brawl.
Why not? Why not?
Now it's just crazy talk.
You have 3 days to train for this. Go. Because it's live on Wednesday, and we were doing it on Saturday. Go.
Oh, God.
But watching, like, what's his name? Shendakar. What is his name? You know what I'm talking about, Garrett? Chendakar, the guy who won, like, he had to play like really good limited and really good standard and really good, like, legacy or something like that to, like, win his first world championship. And that was cool. I watched, like, VODs of it later. Shendrak, I don't know.
I was like,
I'm bad with names.
It sounds like you're trying to say Zendikar, which is the most recent release.
No, it's a guy's name. Shandar, Shendakar, something like that.
I don't.
Someone in
follow,
chat's gonna know who the hell I'm talking about. And it's gonna be embarrassing.
Someone will. They're not coming to your aid quite yet, but well, whatever. Tweets and emails tomorrow, I guess.
Yes. Thank you.
Anyway, that's gonna round it up for now for this strategy talk. Go check this deck out. It's also this has probably got to be the cheapest Dustwise deck we've covered in a very long time.
Yeah.
One legendary you get from an adventure. An adventure.
Yeah.
You don't even have to like bust it out of a pack.
Yeah, absolutely. So check it out. It's fun. I still love Shaman. I think it's fine. So go check it out. You're gonna get that daily at least. Have some fun. Rock a solid Shaman deck and knock out a daily. Now let's take a crazy game story.
Is the whole world gone crazy?
You're in trouble now.
You got it!
You can send your crazy game stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Ours today comes to us from Kevin, who says, "Hey, bitter biddies. Thanks, thesaurus.com. I wanted to give a shout out to Melkor.
Hold on, wait. I've been watching a lot of The Office lately, so I'm just gonna imagine that this is Kevin from The Office right now, as you go. So, continue.
That is not a voice I have.
He's like one of my favorite. No, I'm not asking you to do the voice, but I am going to act like that. That is. I've literally watched like 100 and something episodes of The Office in the last like month or something, because the TV in my mom's house, like the cable is terrible. So I had Netflix. I was like, oh, The Office, watching so much Office, and now like I hear the name Kevin, I'm like, yeah, Kevin, love that guy.
Oh man, that's a show I never really dove too deep into. That was all.
You should dig deep.
You know what it is actually? That's the show when you're at your parents' for Christmas. It's like, oh, it's on. I guess I'll watch this. That's that for me. So it's funny that you mentioned it because you're at your mom's. Anyway, Kevin says, I wanted to give a shout out to Melkor. We had been friends from a TAC game night months ago, and while ranking up, I was randomly matched up against him. Our match was very close and ended with a semi-crazy game story. Yeah, don't bill it like that. You want to tell me that this is the craziest
game
story
semi-crazy
in history. And I just happen to also know the guy. He was playing Dragon Warrior, and I was playing Control Priest with a Confessor Paletris. Paletris summoned Stalag, which might as well have been a Salty Dog. I then recombobulated a Silent Sludge Belcher, and it ended up being Fukin. Oh my God! This is not a semi-crazy. Oh man, dude, go buy a lottery ticket right now. After a brawl for Melkor, Thaddeus popped out. After the game, Melkor messaged me with a well played, and we talked about my ridiculous luck. It was a pleasant interaction in a game that doesn't always offer friendly banter. Thank you all for fostering such a great community. Keep up the good work. Like I said, go buy a lottery ticket, man, because your luck is on fire right now. That's great. That is a crazy game story.
Yeah,
It was actually a crazy game.
Semi-crazy.
No.
That's legit crazy, man. Good job.
Randomly came up against a guy you know, and then all of that other stuff happened. Like, crazy.
Yeah. I love it. I love that so much. All right, let's take some emails.
Hello.
Hello, it's me.
Hello.
Just quickly, did you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
You can send your emails to the same place, tacpodcast@gmail.com. And when I said emails, I meant calls, apparently. Our first thing up is a call from listener Ben.
Hello, Angry Chickens. This is Ben, otherwise known as Button Pusher on the intertubes. Hey, I just wanted to know what you guys thought about the new Tavern Brawl, Underdog rules. I think it's the best yet. It's so good, in fact, I think Blizzard should make it a part of the standard rules of Hearthstone. I find the gameplay to be much more engaging and entertaining. It focuses me to keep tabs on the value of my hero's health versus my opponent, and I also find myself constantly paying attention to the board state to prevent my opponent from gaining advantage or getting a free minion. And also, I've been using cards in some new and interesting ways, sometimes opting to take damage myself to keep parity with my opponent or to go below the threshold and gain that free minion. Overall, I think this addition as a rule in standard Hearthstone would make for a much more satisfying game experience, whether it's a new player starting out, somebody who doesn't have a lot of cards, or just somebody who struggles keeping up with being down by 20 health by turn 6. I think it would just make the game a lot more satisfying for most players. Just want to know what you guys think. Thanks a lot.
Are we allowed to be mean to people who send us calls?
I mean, just be yourself, man.
Yeah.
No, I'm just like,
Except
wow.
follow the don't be a dick rule. Come on.
Yeah. No. It's just like, man, I hate this idea. That's kind of my gut reaction.
All right, so I'll say this. I wouldn't mind seeing a Tavern Brawl, like we've talked about in the past, selector where I can choose to play some of the coolest Tavern Brawls from the past and decide that I want to play them at any given moment. And if other people are laddering up in that way, I can do it. Because, obviously Ben here really enjoys this, right? And it's going to go away, and who knows when it's going to come back. And that sucks if it's like this fun for Ben, right? This particular Tavern Brawl, I do not agree was like so fun that I wanted to be part of the rules, but I've been doing this new thing, Brawl Me Bro, with D-Day on Sundays, and it was a blast. This really was like one of the funnest Brawl Me Bros we've done because, yeah, you don't attack each other. You are constantly... We were doing random decks, so it wasn't like we were trying to like build the decks, but you had these really weird permutated... Like these turns where you're just like, what do I do here? Like, do I YOLO face and give him a random minion, or do I hold back and hopefully... And like a lot of times it was... We're just never going to kill each other because neither one of us wants to do damage. And it made the game very interesting. So I agree that this was a really interesting brawl. The problem I had was when I went into like the brawl ladder, quotation marks, it was basically the same deck over and over again, which was warlocks running like flame imps and zombie chows and stuff. So like they're kind of doing like handlock with a couple of differences, right? And that's, I think, where the problem ensues. Where if you make this like a legit set of rules, you don't get what you get on actual ladder, which is variation and stuff like that.
Right,
so,
it would just become Hearthstone, a game of warlocks.
Yeah. So that's not fun. And we've had other ones in the past, like the spells turn into minions thing, where it's just all druids. And, there's been a lot of these so far. Where the rules are so crazy and they're cool and they're fun, but they end up, when people like try hard on them, everyone plays the same class and essentially the same deck. So yes, I'd like to see some selector that we've talked about where you get to play the one you like the best. It would be a really spread out ladder though, where like maybe you get somebody to play against, maybe you don't. I don't know. I don't think they're going to want to split off their player base that much, but
no.
He makes some good points.
What about having something that would incorporate the underdog mechanic, like it was attached to a minion or something? So as long as that minion was alive, you were like, or the underdog mechanic was, underdog mechanic was in play. So it wasn't constantly there, but it was something like Inspire or Joust that you could incorporate into your deck if that was what you were building around.
I think that would be super cool.
I could see that, dude. I could see that.
Where, I think it'd be really fun.
Yeah. And we have talked about this too on the show. Like, is Tavern Brawl some way for them to try out crazy stuff?
Test stuff,
Which the first one seemed very much so. Like, let's try out this where it's just nuts and you're Ragnaros and you're Nefarian. We haven't really seen that since, but an underdog, like where the card says underdog. If you have 3 less health than your opponent, grab a free minion. Put a random minion on your board. Yeah, that would be very interesting.
That would especially be good in stuff where it was like, I don't know, weapons classes where you could actually like run your face into stuff and then all of a sudden, boop, free minion.
Yeah. We had some, like me and D-Day had some interesting games because we did play Warrior and stuff, and there was like you were trying to use weapons to kill stuff, and we did, Warlock where we were both tapping like crazy. And then like Priest where we were healing each other. There's some weird stuff that happened, and it was definitely interesting, but I don't want this to be like a ladder. I don't. Oh. Yeah. All right, Garrett, go. Get on him, dude. Let's hear it.
That was a joke. It was my way of saying, as a host, you usually try to come at things and show both sides of any discussion or argument. And this is the one I'm just heard this and I'm just like, no. I have no other way to react to this other than this is a terrible idea. Why would you even suggest this? Why? God, it's just RNG all the time. The most RNG possible in a game that's already full of it. Why would you? That was my brain
again,
inside.
Though, like, I kind of want like a Tavern Brawl like ladder, like because right now it's weird. It's like why play more than once? And a lot of times, I mean, like the fact that me and D-Day, and we're going to probably talk about a ton of this on Thursday, but the fact that like me and D-Day have now made a show around it has made Tavern Brawl much more exciting for me each time because I'm thinking about how to go into it as a competitive thing in a best of 7 type of scenario, and that's interesting. And then we introduce a ton of RNG because we do random decks, but like that is interesting. However, if you're going to talk about a ladder, that has to be a completely separate ladder that has nothing to do with the regular ladder, and figure out some rewards that don't just get people to play the most optimal version of whatever. Get people to do something kind of interesting. Yeah. It's it's a tough spot they put themselves in because Tavern Brawl is cool, but it's like there's so many possibilities that everyone's like, it'd be cooler if, I wish they would, and that's kind of, it just opens themselves up to that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, I'm all for that. Jocelyn, I think your idea is the most interesting that's coming out of this. I really like it. It's the most rational. It's the thing I could actually see happening. I don't see, and which I'm not discrediting you, Dills. I'm kind of taking Jocelyn's kind of pitch and versus our listener Ben's pitch, and it's like I get where Ben's coming from. It was a really fun brawl. Like I'm not just trying to like crap on our listener here. I'm totally.
He's
with
in
him.
chat right now, and he actually.
Yeah, he's totally in chat.
Yeah. No, it was a super fun brawl, and I'd like to, this is one that I look forward to coming back. Not next week, but soon. But it's too ridiculous of an effect, which most of the stuff in brawl is.
Yeah.
If you could taper it down a little bit, right, where. Because that's what they kind of do with some of the RNG. So things like Piloted Shredder, random 2-drop, not just a random whatever, because that is where it gets a little out of control, right?
Right.
You're talking from Deathwing to Wisp as the range of what you're going to get if you get more than 3 health down is a little insane. But it's a cool idea, and having it be some sort of mechanic attached to a card, I think would be really cool. And I also think that it'd be great if there was some way to be able to have a separate ladder where you could go play this kind of stuff if you really enjoyed it, right?
Yeah.
It'd be kind of cool if it was something like whatever, like the multiple minions at all different mana costs, and it was like the underdog mechanic was, while this minion's in play, if you're below or 3 health less than your opponent, then you get a minion of that cost. So like for the 3 mana underdog minion, you get a random 3 mana. For the 5 mana underdog minion, you get a random 5. Yeah, to kind of control it a little bit more of whatever that same mana cost is.
I like that too. I mean, it's also incredibly strong. Still,
yeah,
it feels like Inspire almost, because it's gonna I've been playing Next Champion Sarad in like this kind of super control warrior deck that has no burst finish, it just outlasts you, and you play Nexus Champion Sarad and you get your 1 spell, and then like they just fireball it because they're like, that has to go. But let's say you had like a 5 mana card that said if you're down more than 3 health, summon a random 5 cost minion. It'd be kind of Inspire-ish, and it would prompt removal, right? So there could be something there. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. And anytime with RNG, I like it when there's some type of parameter to the RNG, so it's somewhat controllable. You can play around it.
Do something from everything in the game.
Yeah, that's like, could you? I don't know.
But then again, Unstable Portal is probably my favorite ever.
Sure, but Brawl can do that. Like that's the thing. Brawl can do that. You can't do this on the ladder because then it's just insane. It's too much. And Button Pusher TV, he's the one. And he said, what about only on lower ranks? Now, I don't think you can do this on ranks at all. Like, you need to separate this completely from ladder. Like,
you have to have the same rules
to be ladder,
all the way through the ladder,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is like when we were talking about achievements last week, and I was like, just not on ladder. Like, don't have people doing weird stuff on ladder. Like, let's just keep that. If that's our competitive version of Hearthstone, let's try to keep that as pure as we can. But we could totally go off and do all sorts of crazy stuff in other formats.
To which I still argue with you. If people want to get crazy on ladder and give up free wins, more power to them.
All right.
And if they do something crazy on ladder and they start winning and they discover a new deck, what's wrong with that?
But see, this already happens at like Legend. People get to Legend and they just do whatever. Once they realize that they're not going to get top 100, people start doing all kinds of crazy stuff. I just think it's like that experience is... It's rough when you start screwing with it, and you got to be a little cautious before you just rush in there and go, hey, free for all, let's do whatever we want with this, because that will piss people off, So.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely, and Hearthstone's also like, it's a game of it from the ground up. It's kind of, it's supposed to be simple and accessible and easy to understand. And if you had to tell people like, well, in every game, no matter what mode you're playing, if you're 4 health or below your opponent, you'll summon a random minion. Wait, a random minion? Yeah, a random minion. Like, of minions I have? No. Like, literally any minion in the game that it could possibly exist. You could just possibly summon that. So, like, it could be a Whisper or Deathwing. Yeah, it could be a Whisper Deathwing. That's insane. That should not be in the opening explanation of what Hearthstone is.
Exactly. Yeah, we're turning off new users right away when we do stuff like that. For sure.
Yeah, and me apparently, because I had such a gut reaction to the suggestion. I was like, no, I quit the show. I quit this game if this happens. I'm out.
It's not gonna happen. It's a cool suggestion, but I think again, just separate it out and it's good. Let's do it.
Oh man, yeah, it's funny. It's fun to have those reactions. Fun time. Dills, who's the next email from?
This is from, I believe we're going to pronounce this Spazzy.
Yeah, man. A 4 is an A in lead speak. Come on.
Yep, exactly.
Spazzy.
So, hey there, Angry Buckox. Is that how you'd type out a cluck? Probably. I am not following the pro scene that closely due to there is only so many hours in a day. So maybe this is something we've already seen. But what do you guys think of the idea of having the players' facial expressions being readable by the opponent? Put the players a little closer to each other and mount the monitor into the table surface and add some sort of shield to block the field of view for the opposing player. These are, of course, mind games in-game thanks to emotes and hovering above certain cards, but I'd personally love to add on top of that the looks being exchanged before you play a big combo, facial expressions to your top decks. What are your guys' thoughts? Keep up the great work. Well, they often have in the tournaments, they do have a camera on the players.
In the Hearthstone World Championship last year, they were sitting across from each other at a table.
Yeah, literally looking at each other. And I do like
and
that.
I think
that's good.
I think that's more what he's getting at is not for the audience to be able to see the players' expressions, but for the players to be able to see each other and to kind of like play off of that and be like, oh, his eye twitched, and I know when his eye twitches, he pulls a good card, because you kind of miss a lot of that in Hearthstone because so much of it is virtual. And I think there is some players who, like we saw a little bit at the Archon Team League, that once you actually got them at the live event and they were right across from each other and they're not used to having to like hide their expressions from other people. And I think some of the pros actually suffered a little bit because they just wear their emotions right on their faces. And it's just like, wow, I know he's got a really crappy hand because look at that. So I think some of them actually suffer when they have to go and play in person and they don't have the screen to hide behind a little bit. So yeah, I think it's really interesting, and I'd like to see more in-person tournaments because I think that's a really interesting part of the game.
LAN tournaments are important for sure.
Yeah,
I strongly prefer it as well.
Yeah,
I love it, and you can use those same kind of reactions you were just talking about, Jocelyn, to game your opponent as well. You can try and act in a different way than what is actually in your hand. I've bluffed many a friend at my kitchen table with nothing but land in my hand in a game of Magic and won. So. It happens.
Hachikumo has a good thing here. He says the players should say, "I play a Noyatron" and end my turn. Sure, okay.
Audible.
I play.
Audible. I'm going to tap for 3.
Yeah. I now have 3 mana. I have drawn my card. I play.
I play Thunderbluff Valiant. I cast my hero power. I roll a dice. It lands on 3. I get a healing totem. I trigger Inspire. Healing totem gets... Oh, jeez. Just the worst. Could you imagine?
I play secret. Sure you do. Sure. I test for the secret by attacking... Yeah. But I do think that there's some cool stuff here. You can actually kind of take advantage of this already without the facial expressions, but the facial expressions mean a lot. But if you consider what the other guy's doing, because you can't see stuff, like what cards they hover over, how long they take, when a card gets drawn, there's a lot of cool stuff you guys can do. So don't just count out what you can do already. But I totally agree with this email. Like the LAN tournaments bring a whole brand new thing. Like if you watched I think at the Worlds, it was Kalento was just like stone faced the whole time, and some of the other players were just like, oh. Like the frustration, and if they're frustrated and they got 5 cards, that means all their cards suck, probably, right? So
I don't think Kalento emotes at all ever.
Probably not.
You watch his stream, and he's still pretty. Yeah, he's got permanent game face. He's got resting game face.
Yeah, resting
game face. That's what Kalento has, which is great, man. So, Jocelyn, how about our final email?
Last email here comes to us from Nathan. Says, hey there, Frenzied Fowl. I was listening last week, contemplating your and my disdain for Patron Warrior, and I think I might have come up with a solution that would solve two things that make the game worse. Number 1, Nozdormu sucks and he shouldn't. Number 2, Patron Warrior. So here's the idea. Put out a neutral mid-priced minion, say a 5 to 6 with taunt, for example, with Nozdormu's spell effect. Patron, aside from being annoying, is slow. If you rush a patron, all but the most elite will make mistakes. So give Nozdormu's effect that doesn't suck, or give him some effect that doesn't suck, or maybe just make him the 5-mana card with lower stats and everyone wins. I like this idea of seeing his effect at different times during the game, because obviously he's such a late game minion. Like, it'd be really cool. I don't know about giving it taunt, because that's probably something you would want to hide behind taunt. But yeah, no, I like the idea of making more minions with similar effects like throughout the game. What about you guys?
I think Nozdormu's effect is really, really crazy and so Dills is going to take the Garrett approach here.
The Garrett stance. Just
I don't want this. No.
I'm with you, Dills. I'm just trying to make up for my earlier reaction. No, I'm just trying to no, and because Nozdormu's effect is wacky and insane and completely off the wall.
He should be a fun card. He should be. I don't think he should be a card that you actually see in tournaments. I also I'm a fan of, and we talked about this on another thing, that I would rather give the animations go away once the rope hits, so you can just make your turn or whatever, and this the turn matters, not that I got screwed by animations. And yes, I get it. Patron's completely overpowered, but I'd rather just fix Patron than do something weird like making everybody start playing a Nozdormu effect in the game.
Right.
Plus, I would like to see Nozdormu be a 4/12 though, because that might make him somewhat playable. But you got to wait till turn 9 to play a 9-mana 4/12 that then does this effect. That could be okay.
Yeah, I really don't want to start playing Speed Hearthstone. That's not.
I will say this though, it would be kind of cool if there was a Speed Hearthstone variant that I could queue into Speed Hearthstone if I wanted to, where there's 30 seconds to the turn and there's no animations and everyone's just playing really, really fast, right?
Yeah.
That could
totally
be kind of
gonna
fun.
be a Speed Hearthstone brawl.
Dills,
totally incoming.
Dills, I'm fairly confident that I can give you a scenario where you would be 100% on board with more minions having Nozdormu's effect.
Okay.
Dills, next week you have to play Life Coach in a tournament for $100,000.
Give me 5 different Nozdormus. Yeah. But okay. Some people hate watching Life Coach play. I love watching appreciate what he's doing, because what he's doing is min-maxing Hearthstone, right? He's roping on turn 1, and that is so frustrating for so many people. But what he's actually doing is using the entire time he has on turn 1 to think about what he's going to be doing on turn 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yep.
And that's incredibly smart. And I know it's frustrating, but yeah. But I think it'd be fun, like turbos in poker, in online poker, where you play a turbo and you only have 15 seconds to make your decision, and the blinds go up really fast, and it's just a different environment.
Yeah.
I'd be totally fine with that existing in Hearthstone as well. I just don't want that to be the normal thing. That's a special thing you queue into if you want to.
Yeah. Plus, you're really selling Life Coach short. He's not just thinking about what he's doing on turn 1, 2, 3, and 4. He's thinking about what's coming out of his opponent's piloted shredder on turn 5. He's thinking that far ahead.
He's considering what the decks are, what the full matchups are going to be, what they what they played in the past. He's going through the full range of it, and this is what he's learned as a poker player. So I want more players to kind of utilize what they had. He's like, look, I have 90 seconds, man. I'm going to take my 90 seconds, and I'm going to think about this game.
Any of my friends who come to me asking for Hearthstone advice, the first thing I'd tell all of them is slow down.
Sure. Slow down. You make a lot of mistakes when you play too fast, and I do it all the time.
Oh my god, I make so many mistakes. So many mistakes. Just going, oh, well, obviously I can see it's turn 4. I have these 2 mana things. I'm just going to boom, boom. And then I'm like, crap, I played, should have played this minion before that minion, or that one on the, positioning, or,
or
even though it's
you didn't even think about. Something
exactly.
Oh, I had 2 different other options I never even considered, because I immediately just
for the
zeroed
easy.
in on, I have 5 mana, play the 5 mana card. And, there's a lot of options in Hearthstone. People don't give it the credit for the depth that it actually has. And Life Coach, he gives it the credit. He gets it. He sees all the permutations over the next bunch of turns. And it's interesting.
This is the most insane collection of emails we've had in a while, by the way. A
lot of really good stuff.
The craziest suggestions. But I like it.
And I like the audio, by the way, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People should send in more audio stuff. That was cool. I like that.
We don't ask for enough.
Keep it short, though.
Yes, keep it short and make sure you're not on a bus that's on fire.
Yeah.
That would be preferable. and we got not one but two video calls to TAC 100 of people congratulating us from people who were in a car, driving the car, like recording themselves with the phone in their lap. And I'm just like, I'm not using this because I don't want to commend this behavior. Like, this is bad. Don't do this. We're not worth that. No one's worth that. Stop it. Thank you. So anyways, thanks for your emails, guys. Again, send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to send in a call, go ahead and do so. MP3 format preferable. Keep them under 30 seconds if you can. Thanks. And that's going to do it for this week's show. Thanks again to our patrons over at patreon.com/TAC. Seriously, you guys are nuts. You're awesome. We love you. We're doing 3 damn episodes this week because of you. And hopefully we'll talk to you tomorrow for the call-in episode. Also, thanks to those of you who are leaving us reviews on the iTunes store. Thank you this week to Tony Houst, who says, we're a Hearthstone podcast that feels like home.
Aw.
You have a possibly mildly insane home. If the 3 of us talking about dragons and wizards and I don't even know what else we discussed today, resting game face, then yeah, you've got a really interesting home.
I was going to say, I want that to be my home.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. SFC Rabdo, thank you. Verkla Rung, who says 1-star review, but left us a 5-star review. Thank you for that. IF1R3, thank you for your clearly not pronounceable name. Or I guess iFire if I'm looking at lead speak here. Never mind. Brandon Youngblood and hey, it's the dude. Thank you guys for your 5-star reviews. I really appreciate it. The Angry Chicken, as always, is produced by amove.tv, Frog Pants Studios, and our Patreon producers, Declan H, LVE, and Topher L. Our past live shows and other videos can be found on youtube.com/amovetv, and you can get our t-shirt on slashloot.com. Go pick them up. Wear them at BlizzCon so I can be like, you. I designed that. I love that show.
I thought you were going to say are not prepared, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
No, just
that was a pretty good Illidan, like the first part.
Just you. You never do that? You just point to someone and you're like, you, and they're like, you, and you're like, you.
Yeah, because that just creates an awkward situation that I'm not going to feel good in. So, no.
To me, that's the whole point of BlizzCon, being able to be awkward, and it's okay.
Just one awkward situation after another. Let's do this.
Yep. Yep. Follow us on Twitter at TAC Podcast. We're on Facebook /AmoveTV, and we're on Reddit at tacpodcast.reddit.com. We record live every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time now. We changed times. We're an hour earlier over at twitch.tv/AmoveTV, and we're also on alphageekradio.com. And finally, check out BrianGriffithMusic.com for our intro music, and you can also talk to Brian if you're looking for intro music of your own, or outro music, or maybe just awesome music. It doesn't need to be specific.
I should hit him up, actually. I might have some need for some new intro music soon. So.
Nice. Nice. Are you like dropping? Are you pulling a Johnson? Are you doing another show?
No. Well, no. I'm not. So, by the way, the bartending gig, I turned that shit down, dude. So I got there and she was like, "Yeah, do you think you could do like 3 nights a week?" And I was like, "No, no. I thought this was just gonna be like me hanging out at a bar, like with beers sometimes. Every now and then I come in and I do a shift, but don't really have to do it." She was like, "I need people." I was like, "Oh no." Different ideas.
Dills is not people. Sorry.
No, I have way too many things going on to have an actual job be added to my life. But yeah.
Dills is the opposite of Soylent Green. He's not people. Get it? Never mind.
Yeah,
fine.
No, we got it.
Fine. Dills.
Yeah, I got it.
Where can people find you, Dills?
Not made out of people. Follow me on Twitter. I am at Willie Dills. You can also check out my stream, which is twitch.tv/WillieDillsSF. And I've been streaming a lot more lately, and it's been going really well. So I encourage everybody, if you are looking for a stream to watch some Hearthstone, some Heroes, and soon I'll be playing some other games. I got some, like GTA 5 actually works on stream. I'm going to play some of that. So check that out. The Instance, World of Warcraft podcast on Friday mornings at 9 a.m. And Stormcast is a Heroes of the Storm show on Sundays at 8 p.m. Check those all out. Thank you very much.
Jocelyn, how about yourself?
You can follow me on Twitter and Twitch at Joss Plays. I do the Gamers In right here on AMove TV every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. We're doing some really cool stuff. We've got game night this week. I don't know how I'm going to fit all this in with all this Angry Chicken stuff, but 2-3 shows a night. Who cares? Whatever. It's all good. Details. But yeah, so that's the best place to find me. Keep up with everything on Twitter. Been streaming quite a lot, so.
Great. Folks, you can find me on Twitter at GarrettArt. I'm over at nomoonart.com for my graphic design portfolio. I'm on Into the Nexus talking Heroes of the Storm with Kyle Ferguson every Thursday night. And I'm also on The Angry Nerd talking to myself about lots of stuff. Yeah.
By the way, dude, Kyle's solo Q&A thing is like my new favorite thing ever.
Amazeballs.
It's so good.
And it's like,
amazing.
it is the single greatest piece of Heroes of the Storm content that you are probably
Every time I
not
watch it, I'm
subscribed
like, why
to.
are there only 50 people in here?
Yeah.
They should have like 10,000 viewers.
It's
Like,
so,
it is so
good. People don't get it. Like they assume, probably because he's on a show with me. Oh, it's like an everyman show. Like they're really casual, and we try to keep that. But Kyle is the most hardcore mother lover about Heroes. Like he's rank 1. He's been rank 1 twice now. Like he's nuts.
Yeah.
He's absolutely insane. He's amazing at the game, and he can teach you how to be a total baller from the perspective of someone who plays by themselves, who solo queues and does a pickup game, and that's something that no one else is doing.
He's using like a telestrator. He's pausing games. He's doing like that. You could send him your replays, and he'll go over and tell you like what mistakes you made and how you could have done it. But it's so good. Anybody who hasn't watched it, go check it. It's like, what, Tuesdays or something?
Yeah, it's Tuesdays.
So tomorrow.
Afternoons.
Yeah,
Go
watch it.
And it's in the middle of the day, so it's not like our show where the European world just like, sorry, Europeans, we don't give a shit. You can't tune in. Which hopefully will change once you move to Austin, Dills, but, down the road. At some point, the show will be a lot earlier. Probably in January, I guess, but...
But no, he's inspired. Like I kind of want to start doing something like this. I wish that Hearthstone people could send me their game replays, and I could like go over.
That'd be so good.
You know,
Don't get me
it would be
started.
the coolest thing ever to have like a solo show like that where I just send me a game that you thought was interesting in some way, and I'll discuss why it was or wasn't and whatever.
I have wanted to do the Day 9 Fun Day Monday equivalent of Hearthstone since Hearthstone came out. But there is no easy way to give someone a Hearthstone replay. I mean, I guess everyone has recording software
You could
now,
record it.
but that's still a lot of space. Like a replay file from Heroes is less than a megabyte.
And actually, I will say this, though, the Hearthstone deck tracker does give you replays, but it's kind of like if you've ever done like the poker replays, where it's not like you're watching a game, but you just can like click forward one turn and kind of see what happened.
It's like court
It's not quite the same
stenographer.
thing, but,
like you're kind of just reading what happened.
Yeah.
But no, dude, guys, if you're not watching Into Nexus, at least watch Kyle. Go watch Kyle's solo Q&A because you're gonna become a much better Heroes player for it. This just turned.
And Kyle does it. He actually does it on AMove, right? So you guys are
TV Tuesday afternoons. Solo Q&A with Kyle Ferguson. We're talking about possibly doing a duo Q&A also, since they made the change that you can only go into Hero League with two people.
Well, they also made the change with replays, right? Where you can have multiple people watching the same replay.
No, they did not make that change.
That's in the patch notes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Well,
Go check it out. I do a hero show now, too, so I actually pay attention to this crap again.
Oh, cool. Cool.
You can have like 11 people watch the same replay now.
I don't do my hero show till Thursday, so I haven't read those notes yet.
You'll get there. It's really cool, actually. It's a super cool feature.
Because I want to say, like, last month, they were saying, like, oh, it's on the things to do, but it's not coming yet. So I just assumed, like, no.
No, yeah, they're adding it in. You can like invite other people to view a replay with you.
God, that's amazing! Oh, so much more Heroes content coming, guys. Which this is a Hearthstone show, so why does anyone care?
We're at the end. This is where we do this.
Yeah, this is where you talk about all the things.
Stuff.
Guys, we really like Blizzard games. I don't know if you noticed. I don't know if me telling you that medal didn't look like Serenite today tipped you off, but we really like Blizzard games. Anyways, check all that stuff out. Really, please go check out The Angry Nerd. That's my new little pet project, and it's scary to do. So go listen to it. Check out doghousesystems.com. There are sponsors. You can use the code TAC to get a free solid state drive added to your rig. So go do that. That'll do it for this week's show. We'll be back tomorrow for 106 with our patron call-in episode. So patrons, if you haven't done so already, add us on Skype, patreon.com/TAC for details. That's going to do it. Job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!